The first three lectures talked about learning, how we learn and how information is put into our minds. But what good is all that information if we can't store it, if we can't remember it? And that's where memory comes in. Memory is the process of acquiring information and storing it for later use. Researchers have often used computer metaphors to explain how memory works. But this makes me wonder, what did researchers do before the invention of the computer? I'm sure there was memory then, right? But the way that they describe memory is that a computer has a hard drive that stores a great deal of inactive files and also allows users to retrieve a file from the hard drive and bring it into active memory so that the file can be used. Humans are similar to computers, I guess, in that we have a brain that stores a lot of inactive data or knowledge. For example, I'm not sure why I need to remember the address from where I lived when I was 8 years old. But our brains are generally able to retrieve the data and put it into our short-term memory, or our working memory. An example of this is that I could begin to sing a song you might have sung when you were little. And once you begin hearing the song, your brain will go through the work of finding the file that contains this information, put it into the top of your mind, and you could probably sing along. We're not going to do that though, okay? All of our thinking and reasoning occurs in our short-term memory, but only a small portion of information can be held in short-term memory for very long. If this information is not used, it's basically lost. That is, it's put back into our long-term memory about 18 seconds later. So we can keep a thought, we can keep an idea in our short-term memory for 18 seconds if it's not being used. Long-term memory, on the other hand, appears to store an unlimited amount of information for a very long period of time. However, we can still forget things even if they are stored in long-term memory through one of three ways. The original information is not maintained. For example, my talking about the address from when I was 8, although I'm a little bit older than that now, if somehow every once in a while I think of that address and it pops in there, but if I don't, eventually it will fade away. New information may come into us and it's not successfully stored in memory. Or new knowledge that we gain could override existing information, or vice versa. Long-term memory can also be distorted or changed over time. And sometimes we just can't forget something no matter how hard we try, even when we really want to. There are various types of memory, from sensory memory, which emanates from our 5 senses, to workbench memory, which is where we encode information for future use, and long-term memory, which we use to scan for information already stored in our brains. The process of moving information into long-term memory, though, follows a pattern where information is gained through our senses, and if processed, deemed valuable or important, it is placed onto our workbench memory, or short-term memory. Short-term memory, as noted previously, has a limited capacity and is highly affected by our level of involvement. I'm sure that you have had the experience where you're thinking about something really hard and someone talks to you and says something to you, and then a few minutes later you have to ask them to repeat what they said. Although you received the information through your senses, your short-term memory was so busy with something else you could not process what you heard. But if your short-term memory is engaged in processing of new information, and you deem it valuable enough, it is then processed into your long-term memory. One thing that assists us in creating long-term memories is through the use of associated networks. The idea of an associative network is that each piece of information, idea, or basically what's referred to as a node, that we receive is stored in our memory and is organized by being connected to other related nodes of information. Most associations are learned through classical or operant conditioning, and these nodes are connected to form an associative network. In an associative network, closely related nodes, they're connected directly by a single association. When you think of BMW, you may think automobile. But distinctly related nodes are connected through a series of associations. Let's take a look at an example. When a consumer thinks about a brand name, such as McDonald's, they start thinking about associations with the brand. such as Ronald McDonald, Big Mac, or fries. A strong association leads to a priming effect, where the thought of the brand McDonald's leads consumers to think about other closely related concepts, such as the products that they offer, and then it will connect to fries. But the connection can also occur in another way. Imagine you're reading an article about how the local Ronald McDonald House is having some event or celebration. Just reading the news about the company's social involvement can lead you to think of the McDonald's brand, and then that link will take you all the way to fries. Now, if you're hungry, the time it gets to the link may be much faster. Either way, as we activate one node, we will likely begin to activate other nodes in the network. How far down the network your brain chooses to go will depend on multiple factors, including your involvement, which node got activated first, or potential internal or environmental characteristics, such as if you're hungry. Marketers can activate our memory of a brand by showing us an image of the product or the brand's logo, or through other indirect means, such as throwing a PR message about the brand's charity. Either way, the nodes become active and our brain fires up other nodes that could make us decide to stop by for a Big Mac. Well, that's about it for this week. I hope it was informative about learning about how learning occurs and about how we use memory. But this week, what we have, first, you have quiz number 4. That's going to be up here in a couple of days, I hope. And then I have a discussion question for you about Tide dry cleaners. Now, it's time to do our semester project, or get started on our semester project. I've already formed groups, and you should have that information about which group you're in on Canvas. What you need to do now is you need to start making contact with your group. And you should determine what's going to be the best way for you to communicate. As a group, you should begin thinking about product categories that you might want to study. You need to select 3 product categories and rank order them and let me know. So just list them. Here's 1, 2, 3. If 1 is available, it's yours. If 1's taken but 2's not, you're going to get 2. So send a list of potential categories to me, and I will assign you to your group of whatever category you're going to have. Now, there can only be 1 group assigned per category, and categories are going to be assigned on a first come, first served basis. So as soon as I got that, the sooner I have that, the sooner I can get what you wanted. Have a great week, and please drop me some comments. Let me know how things are going. I really don't know how this lecture is coming through or how my lectures are coming through, and I would really appreciate some feedback if you could. Have a great week.